Marcus Davidson had built his technology empire on precision and control, but tonight exhaustion was making him careless. At 42, he had just concluded the most important merger negotiation of his career and the corporate headquarters. Felt like a maze as he searched for the executive washroom on the unfamiliar 15th floor. The Navy suit that had served him well through 12 hours of intense negotiations now felt wrinkled and confining. His mind was still processing the details of the $100 million deal as he pushed through what he thought was the correct door, his focus entirely on the phone call he needed to make to his legal team. It was not until he looked up that he realized his mistake. The women's restroom sign on the wall seemed to mock him as he stood frozen, taking in his surroundings. But what stopped him completely was not his embarrassing error. It was the young woman sitting on the floor in the corner, her knees drawn. Up to her chest, tears streaming down her face. Elena Rodriguez looked up in alarm, quickly wiping her eyes as she scrambled to stand. At 28, she was the newest junior analyst at Davidson Technologies, hired just 6 months ago after graduating with honors from business school. Her silk blouse was wrinkled from the long day, and her professional composure had finally cracked under the weight of what she had just discovered. "Mr. Davidson," she said, her voice shaking despite her efforts to maintain dignity. "I am so sorry, I was just leaving." Marcus held up a hand, his embarrassment at the wrong door immediately, forgotten in the face of genuine human distress. "Please, do not apologize. I am the one who made the mistake here." He paused, noting her red eyes and the way she was trembling. "Are you all right? You seem upset." Elena hesitated, torn between professional protocol and the desperate need to talk to someone, anyone, about what she had just learned. The man standing before her was the CEO of the company, someone so far above her pay grade that she had only seen him in company presentations. Yet there was something in his expression that suggested genuine concern rather than mere politeness. "I am fine," she said automatically, then immediately contradicted herself. "No, actually, I am not fine at all. I just discovered something that I do not know how to handle, and I feel completely lost." Marcus studied her face, seeing something there that reminded him of his younger self, struggling to navigate the complex world of corporate politics without anyone to guide him. Would it help to talk about it? Sometimes an outside perspective can clarify things. Elena laughed, but there was no humor in it. "An outside perspective? Mr. Davidson, you are the CEO. There is no perspective more inside than yours." "That is exactly why I might be able to help," Marcus said gently. "What has you so upset?" Elena looked at him for a long moment, weighing her options. Her career could be over if she said the wrong thing, but staying silent felt like a betrayal of everything she believed in. "I was working late on the quarterly budget analysis," she began slowly. "I needed some additional files from the senior management server, and somehow I accessed the wrong folder. What I found there was correspondence about the merger negotiation. That concluded today." Marcus nodded, encouraging her to continue. "The emails showed that part of the cost savings from the merger will come from eliminating the entire customer service department. 300 people will lose their jobs, and they have no idea. The announcement is not scheduled until after the merger is finalized, so the affected employees cannot prepare or look for other positions." Elena's voice grew stronger as she spoke, her passion overriding her fear. "These are people with families, with mortgages, with children in college. They have given years of their lives to this company, and they are going to be blindsided by unemployment right before the holidays." Marcus felt something twist in his chest. He had approved the cost-saving measures as part of the merger, viewing them as necessary business decisions. But hearing Elena describe the human impact of those decisions forced him to see them from an entirely different perspective. "You are right to be upset," he said quietly. "Those are real people whose lives will be affected by decisions made in boardrooms they will never see." Elena stared at him in surprise. "You are not angry that I accessed confidential information? You accessed it by accident while doing your job, Marcus replied. The question is what we do with the information now that you have it. We? Elena asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Marcus found himself at a crossroads. He could dismiss this conversation, proceed with the merger as planned, and maintain the profit margins that his board expected. Or he could listen to the voice of conscience sitting on a restroom floor, crying over people she did not even know personally. Elena, how long have you been with the company? He asked. 6 months. I know I am nobody important, and I have no right to question executive decisions. But I cannot stop thinking about Mrs. Patterson in customer service who showed me how to use the filing system on my first day. She has pictures of her grandchildren on her desk, and she talks about how proud she is to work for a company that treats its employees well. Marcus remembered his own first day at a corporation 20 years ago, when he had been young and idealistic, before the pressures of business had slowly eroded his connection to the human cost of financial decisions. What would you do if you were in my position? He asked. Elena looked at him with surprise, as if she could not believe he was actually asking for her opinion. I would find a way to redeploy those employees instead of eliminating their positions. Customer service is what differentiates us from our competitors. Maybe the savings could come from executive bonuses instead of employee livelihoods. The suggestion hit Marcus like a revelation. In all the merger discussions, no one had questioned whether the cost savings had to come from the workforce rather than from management compensation. The assumption had been automatic, unexamined. You realize what you are suggesting would cost the senior management team, including me, significant money, Marcus said. I realize that, Elena replied, her chin lifting with quiet determination. But I also realize that your bonus for this merger alone could probably support 10 families for a year. The question is whether short-term profit is more important than long-term integrity. Marcus looked at this young woman who had risked her career to speak up for people she barely knew, and felt something shift inside him that had been dormant for years. She represented the person he had once been, the person he could still choose to be. Elena, what would you say to being promoted to Director of Employee Relations, effective immediately? Your first assignment would be to develop a comprehensive plan for redeploying the customer service staff into other divisions within the company. Elena's eyes widened in shock. Mr. Davidson, I do not understand. 5 minutes ago, I was a junior analyst who had accidentally seen confidential information. 5 minutes ago, I was a CEO who had forgotten that business decisions are ultimately about people, not just numbers. You reminded me of something I used to know, and I think this company needs more people who are willing to cry over strangers in restroom floors. As they left the restroom together, Marcus realized that his wrong turn had led him to exactly the right place. Sometimes the most important meetings happen in the most unexpected locations, and sometimes the wisest counsel comes from the newest voices willing to speak truth to power.